This conference will now be recorded.
Alrighty, today is Tuesday, August 1st at 5 o'clock, Board of Trustees regular meeting. A call to order, Mr. Simcoe.
Yes, and call the roll. Mr. Gentleman.
Here.
Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Crandall's absent. Simcoe here.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Just a few small, quick things here. If you're going to speak this evening, we're going to need to hear you guys, your name and address on the microphone. So it's not because I'm nosy, it's because it's for the record and the tape, okay? Do we have approval of minutes? Mr. Simcoe?
I submitted them. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Yes.
John, Mr.
Second.
Mahoney. Okay. Mr. Gentleman?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Okay.
Any additions or deletions of?
I don't have.
Yes, good afternoon, trustees and fiscal officer Simcoe. There would be one proposed deletion, which is item 7.2, resolution 23096. It's my understanding that this has been referred to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Okay, thanks, Al.
You're welcome.
Hearing of the public for agenda items only. Is this a time to parlay? I guess, Tom, you want to come up and speak? You're up to speak this evening. We got you on the agenda, so I appreciate you coming tonight.
I will temper my remarks accordingly. For 7 years, we have had to look at that place. Mr. Potter has made a fool out of the zoning department. He has been sent 4 or 5 letters telling him to clean it up. He has not cleaned it up. We have heard all kinds of excuses, my neighbors and I, that they need a search warrant to go in. They don't see a problem. Go look at Maryhill, et cetera, et cetera. The letter went out February 9th. He has not complied with it. He has not removed the items. The items are still stored there. There's a pickup truck, windows smashed out. There's the big rusted out tank. There's a burnout truck back in there. Mr. Potter's played games with the zoning department. I got the public records that show that he's been sent numerous letters. There's numerous pictures, and we're all sick and tired of it. When they call the zoning department and they're told that they should go look at Maryhill, I spoke to Mr. Burrell about Maryhill. It's got absolutely nothing to do with this. And it's like I said in my nasty ass emails, they wanted the job, do it. For 7 years, we've had to put up with that. At one time, there were 14 junk cars on that place. And that's not counting the pop-up trailers, the travel trailers, and everything else. And we're all sick of it, so.
Okay, Tom, you're able to count the cars now from the road? How do you know what's in there now?
You can see it from the neighbor's house.
From the other side of the house?
From the other side of the place.
Okay.
Mr. Burrell was there, he could see the.
I know we've got a lot of hours tied in this. Dean, anything you'd like to comment on at all, or?
Not at this time.
Okay. So
yeah, we got 20 pictures if you'd like.
Yeah, it's actually.
Progress pictures.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, I don't want to. I live in a neighborhood that people have stuff all over the place too, and maybe that's a problem. Maybe I should say something too, but I think this guy's genuinely tried to do what he could do to help get this done. I mean, some of those cars back there, I counted 4 Jeeps. There's a Buick Sabre. I mean, maybe the guy's going to use them for his car to fix up.
No, not those cars. Those are the cars that he's got parked.
What about the 38 Buick back there that's burned out? That's a heck of a nice car structurally. We need some work. I mean,
it's totally burnt out.
I understand it, but I'm just looking at driving by and keeping an eye on it for the last 6 months myself. I think he's done an okay job trying to get this back in place.
There's no reason to have those things behind the fence. And it's gotten real personal with everybody in the neighborhood because they call and they complain and nothing's done.
Have you thought about maybe retaining yourself as legal counsel against the township on this?
It was suggested by a couple of the neighbors, a mandamus. No, I don't want to go down that road.
Okay, I'm not sure.
I mean, it's real simple. It's like I said, shall be removed from the property, shall not be stored. period. You cannot make an exception and say, well, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, he's laughed at everybody. The one neighbor went down when he had all the junk cars. He says, why do you have those junk cars up there? He goes, just to piss Yoder and everybody off. Okay? Get them out of there. We don't have to look at them. You know, we got nice houses in there that are going up. People put up a $350,000 house across the road from me. They're bitching about it. So, like I said, they wanted the job, do it. February 9th, this went out. He still hasn't complied. So,
How many acres is that parcel?
I think, because Lazinski, it's probably about 3 acres. Lazinski sold off to the park in back. And then he bought it off of Lazinski's Mark about 7, 8 years ago when all this started.
Okay.
So it's about 3 acres. Well, he's got, okay, there's 2 parcels there. The house is on one, and then he's got the one where all the junk cars are with the thing. And then across the road is an empty field. Right now, and that's where we're putting all the other stuff that's going in, the shadings and all that for whatever, which is no big deal. But like I said, it was sent out February 9th. He hasn't complied. Why not? And that's my question.
Let me ask you a question, Tom. And I've known you a long time, so hopefully I can be frank with you on this too. But when they spent all this money putting this fence up, Potter.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Just as a neighbor, just talking out loud here, okay? As a neighborly thing, wouldn't you have said maybe came to the township, or maybe you would have said to him, hey, that's not suffice enough. This guy spent thousands of dollars to put his vehicles behind a fence off the main road. Why would you? I mean, I just out of a neighborly thing. Why? You know, again, I've known you a long time, so I can talk to you this way. But I just feel like this guy's done a lot. I think he's done a lot to improve his property.
Okay. If he would have taken the time that he put that fence in and the big pile of woods to get rid of the junk, it would have been fine. It's like I said, he's thumbing his nose at the township for the last 7 years. I've got the pictures through the public records request. I mean, he had all that stuff sitting out in front, and still nothing was done.
So, Burrell, I got to put you on the spot with this. You're saying as far as you think, that's is to the best of your knowledge, you're thinking it's suffice that we can move on from this?
I think whether it's suffice or not, or whether it's sufficient, is really up to the zoning department. I mean, like any enforcement of law, there was a measure of discretion. But the police department, they certainly don't take everybody who goes 1 mile over the speed limit. This really is conceptually no different. I mean, I think that's a call that the zoning department has to make. I mean, zoning enforcement is between the zoning department and the BZA. Trustees actually have a very limited role, almost none in zoning enforcement. So, you know, they made this call. Dean and Darrell think that this is sufficient, and I think that's their call.
Okay.
There's nothing in the zoning resolution that says that they've got discretion to allow junk vehicles on the property if they want. It says absolutely they shall not have those on there, period.
Yeah, you're right, that certainly does say that. But as I say, when you enforce the enforcement of any law, whether it be criminal, zoning, whatever, there's a measure of discretion. So both the police officers and by the zoning violation can be criminal. So you have to be careful how much you get involved in that. But they have a level of discretion, and they've used it in this particular case. You know, Tom doesn't agree with it. I may not agree with it, but they've used that discretion. And that's their job. That's what they do.
They being a zoning department.
That being the zoning department, yeah. I mean, you know, reasonable people can disagree whether they've done the right thing or not, but you can't say that they've abused their authority or they don't have the authority. They do have it. They've used it, and, you know, as I say, reasonable people can disagree, and I always thought Tom very reasonable. And like you, I've known Tom, God, almost 50 years now.
Too long.
Yeah, too long. And as I say, you know, he doesn't agree with it. I can understand his point. I have been out there. I get his point. I see why he complains about it, but they have used the authority that they have, not unlike the police officers do every day. It's the same, conceptually, it's the same thing. It really is the same thing. Now, Tom may not disagree with me on that.
I don't.
But again, you know, they've done what I do their job is what you do.
You know, I do think in that area, it's more rural and you're more prone to situations like this.
Yeah.
And I certainly, when you drive around, I mean, in that area, you'll come across, like you mentioned, you know, a $450,000 house, and not too far down is a small, very modest dwelling, and it kind of goes back and forth in that area. I do think the more that gets developed, that will probably take care of this issue in the future, but I know that that's not what you want to hear today or tonight or moving forward. But I do, having grown up in the rural areas of our community, I tend to give people a little bit more leeway when they move out there. Most of them live out there because they don't want a neighbor 6 feet away that you can smell their bacon when they cook it in the morning. And I think that's kind of where we're at. He probably moved out there for that space and things, and my question is, do our zoning laws apply differently in like an agricultural setting? And I know it's not 5 acres and might not qualify, but certainly, you know, when you go past a Creaky Farms or something, they've got a lot more vehicles than that and things that they're working and things. But I'm more apprehensive to give him a little more leeway than forcing him to get rid of every car on that property.
No, not every car, just the junk.
How many are junk? And again, does junk mean the 38 car that might be valued at $8,000 just for the frame?
No, that one's junk. No, the pickup truck with the window smashed out, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There were 2 of them. I don't know if the one's still back in the woods or not back there. He's had those back there for a while.
It looks like he collects, sorry to interrupt you, Tom, it looks like he collects Dodge trucks. So looks like he's got 3 or 4 Dodge trucks, 3 Jeeps.
Yeah, and that's fine.
You know,
If
I'm
he's
just
got
saying
those-
maybe he's using parts to put together to make a really nice truck or Jeep.
No, those run, okay, I don't know if they're licensed or not. You know, the code says they're supposed to license. Those run, those are the ones in front of the fence. Our complaint is the things that are back there that he's, you know, pimped everybody over. It's here's the junk, you know, you're not gonna make me get rid of it, period. If he would have spent half as much effort getting rid of the stuff out of there, then fine, but he didn't. And like I said, we're tired of him thumbing his nose at it. We've lived with it for years, so.
What about, go ahead,
I was not, I was just gonna say, Kripke, pay him cash for him. Airing your tires, gas in your pocket, or money in your pocket. But, again, I think we're gonna have a hard time forcing somebody, again, I agree, a car with no windshield and whatnot. Again, that's the call that.
I think we could sit here for the next year and talk about this, and I'm not sure what the right answer is, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I hate being jury and judge for things like this because it really puts me in a terrible spot because nobody wins, right? So I think, Tom, we just pause. Let's continue to monitor the situation here. Okay. And I know you're going to call, which is a good thing. And I appreciate you calling. It's not like it's not like we haven't taken this real serious. I mean, we spent hours. And Dean's got a book that's, it's not that for a lack of effort here. I just think we got to just try to work with our neighbors as best we can and monitor the situation. And if the guy starts taking advantage of the situation as is, then we'll certainly cross that bridge when it happens.
Okay. No, that's fine. Like I said, we disagree. And like I said, it's gotten real personal because of the fact that I'm going to show the zoning and everybody that they're not going to push me around. So.
Well, and I can tell you right now, I know they haven't. We know where you stand. You've got a good trait. That's what you do good at, and that's why you're in the profession that you're in. And I just think that for now, let's just take a little pause here, move forward as best we can.
Okay. Do we put any time limit? I mean, if they don't touch the trucks in 6 months, do we?
I don't know if there is one for that. Is there?
No, February 9th was when he was told to remove everything, and there wasn't anything to be allowed stored on the property.
And nothing has come or gone since the February 9th letter?
He just moved the junk in the back of the fence. It's still there. He didn't remove it. I mean, here's the letter that went out on February 9th that said you have, whatever it was, 60 days or something to remove the debris and shall not be parked or stored. Or now what? 7 months later, he still hasn't complied. Like I said, he hasn't complied in 7 years.
So,
Dean, it looks like you got something for us. Is that what
Yeah, I've
you're?
got a lot. I have pictures, which I'm pretty sure I've supplied you guys with a good share of pictures.
Thank you.
I've got
Yes.
documentation of what we looked at when we went out there on February 9th before I sent the letter. I have pictures documenting the progress almost by month. I went out there about every 30 days and took a look. And I have documented pictures of what it looks like as of June 6th. I think we made a pretty fair compromise here that Mr. Yoder said that his neighbors had a problem with what they could see when they drove by. Mr. Yoder didn't appreciate looking at it from his property. Go out to Mr. Yoder's property, you cannot see a thing. I don't know what he has behind the fence. But you cannot see a single thing driving by on the road, because I've done it, I've got pictures to show exactly. I walked all the way down the road, took multiple pictures of what you can see from the road. You cannot see a thing that's behind that fence from the road. You can't see a thing that's behind that fence from Mr. Yoder's property. If Mr. Yoder is seeing what's behind that fence, he's trespassing to see.
No.
He says that there's an easement road in there to go into the metro parks. That is an easement road. It's not a public access road, it's an easement for the metro parks to come in. They actually have it chained off that says no trespassing. So, it's just like a utility easement behind somebody's house. I've got a utility easement behind my house for Toledo Edison or the cable company to come down through there and work on their lines. But that doesn't allow everybody access to come in their backyard. And this is the same thing. So if you guys would like to see these pictures, which I think I've provided you with all of the pictures, and you can see what progress Mr. Potter has made, which is pretty significant. He hauled truckloads of stuff out of there. He kept some Jeeps and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure what's all behind the fence because I haven't gone back there to see what the final is, but I know for a fact he hauled a ton of stuff out of there, made significant progress in the amount of time that we gave him to do it. In some pretty crappy weather, if you consider he started that in February and had the majority of it done by May, wasn't ideal conditions to be out there working, but he was out there putting up fences, hauling stuff out, cutting down trees, and like I said, I think it's a pretty fair compromise that we've made to get hopefully both parties somewhat happy.
have you been behind the fence? Do you know what's behind the fence?
Does it matter?
Yes, it does.
Can you see it from your
It
property?
doesn't matter.
Can you see it from?
Zoning says, and right here's what you had down. And don't tell me about the back of my house. You want to come back to my house anytime you want.
I didn't see it.
I know about the easement.
Okay, good. Hold on. All right, Tom, so let's do this. Can we play in the sandbox for a little bit here? Just let this thing go for a bit. Let's see how
That's
it
fine.
goes. If he starts torturing you, tormenting you in a way that's over and above what he's already agreed upon doing, then we will discuss it from there. But in the meantime, I'd like to try to move on if we could.
That's
So,
fine.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay. A for effort for everything. I appreciate you
Well,
coming.
And I apologize about some of the comments, but like I said, this has got real personal with some of the nonsense. When we have to put up with it and people call and they go look at Mary Hill, do this, I don't see a violation. They're all right there. So if I get excited, I'm sorry, but we don't have to put up with it.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate your effort. Okay. I guess I got a little ahead of myself there, but I just thought we'd tie the two together. Daryl, come on up. Tell us about Resolution 23-109.
Good evening. Resolution 23-109, authorization of abatement of vegetation and/or debris. We have one property. This is 5167 Estes Avenue.
Any questions, guys? I'll offer Resolution 2309, abatement of vegetation and debris. Second.
Mr. Hanaway? Yes. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daryl. Nash Bridges, Rob?
Evening. I have one item on the agenda, Resolution 23-106. This is authorization to award bid and enter into contract for our 2023 leaf pickup for contractors. We opened bids on July 7th, 2023, and this year we only had one bidder, A&J Landscaping. They put in a bid of $530 per hour, which is a $15 an hour increase from last year. I find that reasonable, and the circumstances of fuel and pricing and labor has gone up substantially over the years. So I recommend approving.
Any questions? I'll offer resolution 23-106, A&J leaf pickup for fall of 2023.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Oliver? Evening.
Good afternoon again. Thank you. The first item is Resolution 23-107, a resolution approving a certification of street lighting districts to the Lucas County Auditor starting tax year 2023 with collection to begin in 2024. This resolution is prepared annually in anticipation of the deadline for submitting special assessments. Typically, this is done during August or the first meeting in September. Glad to answer any questions elected officials may have.
These are new plats, not the old plats.
It looks like there are new districts, the certification of new districts, for example,
right there.
Waterside,
Okay,
Sylvania, Plat 9. This resolution customarily includes more recertifications of existing plats just for how those have developed over time. There aren't any on this current resolution. There are a couple of tweaks with the splits and combinations at the top, but no recertification of existing plats this year.
Any questions, guys?
No.
Well, I'll offer resolution 23-107 to approve certification of street lighting districts starting tax year 2023, collecting in 2024.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Next item is Resolution 23-110, a resolution authorizing a joint use agreement with the YMCA of Greater Toledo. The agreement that is included in the agenda packet was drafted amongst the township and the YMCA of Greater Toledo, has been reviewed by Attorney John Burrell. Essentially, the YMCA has obtained $500,000 in state capital funding to promote the renovation and expansion of their health and wellness space at their Sylvania campus. The joint use agreement itself, because the state of Ohio, as I understand it, is not the property owner, this encourages, the joint use agreement provides an avenue to provide a project sponsor to YMCA as a nonprofit. In this case, the project sponsor would be Sylvania Township. The agreement meets all of the requirements, and there would be no cost obligation for the township with this joint use agreement. There are representatives here this afternoon with the YMCA to answer any project-specific questions.
No fiduciary responsibility is what you're saying on our end.
Correct. There's no cost obligation. We would not be receiving any funds as a township. We wouldn't serve as a pass-through. The joint use agreement does essentially establish a public benefit and, as I see it, a return on investment from the eyes of the state of Ohio.
Any questions, guys?
I do not.
No. No, I don't.
Brad and Gordon, I see you guys are here. I'll offer resolution 20, thanks for coming, by the way. I'll offer resolution 23-110 to authorize joint agreement with the YMCA.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
You guys go get dinner. See ya. Fiscal officer, what do we got there tonight? Yes.
Well, we're at the 6-month point in receipt of revenues and our expenditures. And it's good to report that all of our revenues are slightly above the 50% threshold, which is where, we're of course happy to see that. I can report that we just got in our second half settlement. It's coming this week, our second half settlement. So that'll be good for us from our tax collections. And the other thing that is we always pay attention to, the trustees do, and Oliver and I, the expenditures. And our expenditures right now are looking like very good. They're below the 50% threshold, which is where we really like them to be. And so I think financially we are doing well at this point in the year.
Our expenses are lower this year than they were last year.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep. They are.
Appreciate you Appreciate all your hard work on that, guys. And Dave?
Yeah, there's a good, well, I've always mentioned, we've got good department heads and the fiscal department, well, Emrod and the finance department, I mean, all work hard on trying to keep our expenditures in line. It's just not the top, it's the folks that are out there kind of being in charge of their departments that do a good job. So, and then I have one resolution, and it's to increase appropriation fund 213, it's out of the American Rescue Plan for a little over $22,000 for Panasonic Rubber tablet for our medic unit. So it's, we want to, I hope, pass that resolution.
Any questions? All up for resolution 23111, township appropriation from unencumbered balance.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
And it looks like we haven't anybody sign up for non-agenda items. Any open discussions by any of the trustees or Dave?
No?
Okay. We've got a liquor permit. Oliver?
Yes, this is for 5201 Monroe Street. There have been no objections or concerns expressed by the police department or the fire department on this application. No action would be needed at this time.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to go into executive session at 5:27 to discuss personnel compensation. Brenda, thanks for coming. Chris, and our elected officials and Oliver, please. At 5:27 in 10 seconds. 30 seconds.
Second, okay. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. All right, we'll see you guys in a few.
This conference will now be
All right, Sam, we
recorded.
ready to go?
We are ready.
All right, I'd like to go back out of executive session at 6:25.
That's a motion by Neil, yeah, okay. John? Mr. Genowine? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Yes.
John, yes.
No action at 6:25.
So close the meeting at 6:25.
6:25, yeah.
John seconded, and all in favor of adjourning, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All righty, thanks, everybody.